What's going on social media? So if you own property in a condo or a co-op association that is 3 floors or higher in the state of Florida, I highly recommend you watch this entire video because I'm going to include information that is absolutely going to impact the way that your association manages their property. So back in May here in Florida, we passed a law that changed a couple of state statutes and added some new ones as well. The one that was added was the mandatory structural inspections for condominium and cooperative buildings section of the Florida state statutes. This creates a statewide mandatory inspection program for aging condominiums and co-ops. What they're looking for is a licensed architect or engineer to complete these milestone inspections, and they're looking to determine the general structural condition of the property and include a determination of any necessary maintenance, repair, or replacement of structural components. They're looking for substantial structural deterioration, and that does not include surface imperfections unless those imperfections are a sign of substantial structural deterioration. So this is going to apply to condos and co-ops that are the year they turn 30 years old. By December 31st of the year they turn 30 years old, they will have to complete these inspections, and then every 10 years after that. If the building is located within 3 miles of a coastline, it'll be the year that it turns 25, and then every 10 years after that. So once they've determined that a building needs to have one of these milestone inspections completed, the local enforcement agency is going to be sending a written notice to the association, and the association will have 180 days to have it completed. Completed, by the way, to define it in the statute, means that the licensed architect or engineer has to submit the full report to the local agency, either by USPS, by email, or by some other commercial means of delivery. So the milestone inspections are going to be completed in 2 different phases, phase 1 and phase 2. For phase 1, they're going to be completing a visual examination of habitable and non-habitable areas of a building. And if the architect or engineer determines that there is no sign of any physical deterioration, you can go ahead and skip phase 2. However, if they do see signs of substantial structural deterioration, you will have to proceed to phase 2. Phase 2 may involve destructive or non-destructive means of testing, and it can be as extensive or as limited as necessary to fully assess the areas of structural distress. They're also going to have to recommend a program for fully assessing and repairing distressed or damaged portions of the building. Now, once they complete either phase 1 or phase 2 of the inspection, they will have to submit a sealed copy of the report to the condominium association, the co-op association, and to the building official of the local government. The way this inspection report has to be submitted is signed and sealed, again, signed by the licensed architect or engineer. That is important because it involves accountability on their part. It has to list the type of inspection. It has to identify any structural deterioration, identify recommended repairs. It's going to have to state whether it is unsafe or dangerous conditions present. It's going to have to state whether they recommend any remedial or preventative repair to anything that is damaged but not a substantial structural deterioration. They have to identify and describe any items that are going to require further investigation, further inspection. And once it's completed, the association will have to submit a copy of a summary report prepared by the architect or engineer to all of the unit owners, regardless of the findings. Now, local enforcement agencies may prescribe timelines and penalties in order to be in compliance with this section, and a local board of county commissioners may adopt an ordinance requiring that the condominium or co-op association either begin or complete their repairs within a certain time frame. However, if the local board of commissioners do not establish any kind of time frame, it is nonetheless going to be required to either have been completed or at least commenced within 365 days after receiving the report. If this is not completed, then the local enforcement agency will have to review and determine if the building is unsafe for human occupancy. Now, this may be updated because the Florida Building Commission is going to have to review these milestone inspection requirements and submit in writing their recommendations by the end of this year, 2022. And then by the end of next year, 2023, the Florida Building Commission is going to be consulting with the state fire marshal to review and establish a plan, a comprehensive structural and life safety set of standards, also in writing by the end again of next year, 2023. Separate from this newly created section, they also are adding a subsection to an existing statute for the Structural Integrity Reserve Study. This study is on the reserve funds required for major repairs and replacement of common areas, and the study has to identify the common areas being inspected, it has to estimate the remaining useful life of each item, it has to estimate the replacement cost or deferred maintenance expense for each item, and it has to recommend an annual reserve amount in order to build the funds necessary by the end of the estimated remaining useful life. These studies have to be completed every 10 years, and they're going to be held on record for 15 years, with the first one needing to be completed by the end of 2024, the end of December 2024. So these inspections are going to include the roofs, load-bearing walls, or other primary support members. They're going to include the floor, the foundation, fireproofing or fire protection systems, plumbing, electrical systems, waterproofing, exterior painting, windows, and any other item that the deferred maintenance cost is going to be, or the replacement cost is going to be $10,000 or more, and the lack of maintenance or replacement of this item negatively affects anything else on this list. Separate from this newly created section, there are also going to be mandatory reserve accounts in order to account for all of the items on this list again. And these are going to be, again, mandatory. This is regardless of the amount of deferred maintenance expense or replacement cost. Some associations are going to have to levy assessments in order to build these reserve accounts, and there may be some financing options or financing programs in order for them to be able to build these accounts. If more information comes out on that in the future, I will be following up with another video on that. However, again, these will be mandatory. Effective December 31st, 2024, the members of a unit owner controlled association may not determine to provide no reserve or less reserve than what is required by this subsection. So this is likely going to be a headache to implement. However, it is absolutely necessary. We've seen recently what kind of tragedy can occur if a building is not maintained, and unfortunately this is not localized just to the area of Surfside or just to that one building. This is evident because it can be difficult to receive financing when you're purchasing property in a condo or a co-op, mainly because of the reserve accounts or the lack of maintenance. The good news is that if you are a property owner and you're looking to sell before this headache comes to you, right now is a fantastic time to do so. About halfway through the year last year, we teetered over from a buyer's market over into a seller's market here in Miami-Dade County for condo and townhouse properties, and we are still sitting in that seller's market. However, trajectory is showing that we are going to be building inventory because closed sales are down, pending contracts are down, and new listings are still coming in. So we are building inventory and we're heading back in the direction of a buyer's market. If you'd like to have a discussion about what to do to prepare your property and prepare to sell, I'm happy to do so. My name is Marvin Mora. I'm a broker associate down here in Miami, Florida. You guys stay safe, take care. Bye-bye.